So last page of geometric sequence and series, page 5. Find the sum of this geometric series. They give us that u1 is equal to negative 96. R is obviously negative, right? Because the terms flip from positive and negative. Let's try to figure out R. We'll use the term equation to do that. u2 equals u1 times r to the 2 minus 1, which is the same thing as u2 equals u1 times r. Well, u1 we know is negative 96. u2 we can see is 48, right? So based on this information, we can figure out what r is, right? We could divide, it's u2. 48, right? u2 is 48. Now we can divide both sides by negative 96. And so the left side becomes negative 1/2 because 48 divided by 96 is a half, and we get the negative sign, equals r. So we know that r is negative 1/2. So we already know u1 is negative 96. We know r is negative 1/2. The only other thing we need to know to find the sum is n, which would be the number of terms in this series. To figure that out, what we could do is we could use the term equation again, except for this time we don't know what n is yet. And then we'll put the nth term, which is negative 3/8, and we'll set that equal to negative 96, and then will be times negative 1/2 to the n minus 1. And now we just use, let's see, we'll divide, we need to get n minus 1 by itself. So first thing we'll do is divide both sides by negative 96. When you divide negative 3/8 by 96, first thing you'll notice is that the two negatives make a positive. But if you put your calculator in fraction mode, which you do by doing mode and then go to the fraction answers, you can divide 3 divided by 8 divided by 96, and then you end up with 1 over 256. 1 over 256 is a power of 2, and which power of 2? It is, I think it's about 2 to the 8th. Yeah, it is. So 1 over 2 to the 8th. And then that would be equal to 1/2 to the 8th, right? And it would also be equal to negative 1/2 to the 8th. So actually n minus 1 is equal to 8. And then n is equal to 9. So if you know n equals to 9, then you can go back up here and say, okay, now I can finally use the sum equation. And I'll do S9 equals, and then I put U1, which is negative 96, and then I multiply it times negative 1/2 to the 9th minus 1 all over negative 1/2 minus 1. So you put that in your calculator, you'll get the sum of this geometric sequence. The population of Tomigu is growing each year. At the end of 2006, and this is a word problem, so it's better just to write everything out here. Okay, so at the end of 2006, the population was 140,000. And at the end of 2007, the population was, we're not sure. At the end of 2008, the population was 145,656. Assuming these annual figures follow a geometric sequence, calculate the population at the end of 2007 and the end of 2012. Okay, so let's say that this is U1, and this is U2, and this is U3. So what would 2012 be? Let's see, 8 is 3, so 9 is 4, 10 is 5, 11 is 6, 12 is 7, so that would be U7. And so let's figure out first what is what do we need to figure out U2? Well, U2 is equal to U1 times R. We know U1 is 140,000. What's R? We don't know R yet, but we can figure it out because we do know the value for U3. So what we can do is we could say U3 equals U1 times R to the n minus 1, which is 3 minus 1, R squared. And we'll put in 145,656 equals 140,000 times R squared. And then we'll divide both sides by 140,000. And we'll get R squared equals, and then we'll put it in our calculator. So we get this. We still have it in fraction mode, so it gives us this nice fraction. And then we're going to take the square root of that, because actually R squared equals 2601 over 2500. But R is the square root of that. So we take the square root of both sides, and that'll give us second square root. Second square root. And then we'll get the answer, which is second negative sign, 51 over 50. So that is the R. And so to find U2, all we do is we take 140,000 and multiply times 51 over 50, and that'll give us U2, which is the value at the end of 2007. How do we find the value at the end of 2012? Pretty much the same thing. We just write U12, or I mean U7, right? Because 2012 is U7. U1 times R to the 7 minus 1, which is 6. So we just take 140,000 and we multiply it times 51 over 50 to the 6th. Okay, so do that in your calculator. Alright, the tuition fees for the first 3 years of high school are given in this table. 6,000, 6,366.15. They're a geometric sequence. Find the common ratio for the sequence. That's pretty easy, right? We just use U2 equals U1 times R to the n minus 1, which is 1. And we know that the U2 is 6,300, right? Because we'll say this is U1, this is U2, and so 6,300 equals 6,000 times R. So R is equal to 6,000 divided by 6,300. And that's equal to 20 divided by 21. That's R. That's the common ratio. If the fees continue to rise at the same rate, calculate to the nearest dollar the total cost of tuition fees for the first 6 years of high school. So that would be U1 added up all the way to U6. So that would be S6, right? Because we want the sum of the first 6 years. So we would use, these formulas here. And you would put U6 equals U1 times R to the 6th minus 1 over R minus 1. So U1 is 6,000. R to the 6th would be 20 divided by 21 to the 6th minus 1. And then it's 21 over 20, right? Oh, look what I did. I made a mistake here. It's 6,300 divided by 6,000, which is equal to 21 over 20. So this would be 21 over 20, and this would be 21 over 20. Okay, so if you put that in your calculator, you'll get the answer for the sum of all 6 years. Last one. A mysterious illness is affecting the residents of Gesondorp. The first day, 8 people have the illness. Second day, 24 new people have the illness. And the third day, 72 new people have the illness. This is kind of tricky because they tell you how many new people have the illness. They don't tell you how many people have the illness. So this would be day 1, day 2, and day 3. Show that the number of new ill people forms a geometric sequence. Well, let's see. If it's a geometric sequence, then u2 equals u1 times r, and u3 is equal to u1 times r squared. So let's see if that is true. So we have u2 equals 24, u1 is 8 times r. So what would r be equal to? 24 divided by 8 is equal to 3. Okay, let's see if that works. So u3 is 72, u1 is 8, and r squared would be 9. Hey, that works. Okay, so yeah, so far it is a geometric sequence. Find how many new people have the illness on the 5th day. So that would be u5. u5 is equal to u1 times r to the n minus 1, which is r to the 4th, and we know that r is 3. So that u5, the 5th day, we would have that many people. You can do that in the calculator. Find the total number of people who have the illness in the first week. Okay, now remember that each term is only the new people that have the illness. So if you want to have the total number of people that have it in the first week, you need to add the first day's patients, second day patients, third day patients, all the way to the 7th day patients. And so that would be equal to S7, right? So S7 is equal to U1 times R to the N, and remember the N is 7, right? Minus 1, R minus 1. And so we could put U1 we know is 8, R we know is 3, okay, so and a 7. So if you put that in your calculator, you would get the answer.